Welcome to Boss Cowboy Sports, and today we gonna measure this Kool-Aid on OSA because his deal was extremely team friendly. So I always start the channel talking about being measured in our responses because OSA's deal was extremely team friendly, and sadly I want to make sure that everybody knows it. So I'm gonna basically break this down, and the timing is perfect because I actually did a show about this yesterday where I literally did the calculations of the market value of OSA and Micah Parsons. I did the show literally yesterday, and so OSA was signed today. So I pretty much did have all the information in the queue. So to kind of get it in a nutshell and keep it simple, I want everybody to understand why his deal is extremely team friendly, and I'm gonna give you some bonus stuff at the end to really explain a different shift in front office philosophy, because based on this deal with our OSA, they are moving different than what they've done in the past. So I'm gonna explain that. That's very important that you pay attention. That's gonna lead into you understanding why smart pressure from fans matter, and we're gonna just talk about that as well. But to just kind of do a small fast recap of the facts, when you calculate market value, the first thing you got to do is you got to look at the counterparts that played the same position with similar production, and when they got contracts, you can then begin to understand what's the market value of the guy you're trying to pay. So guys that should be looked at as people like Derrick Brown and Aleem McNeil, and also just by himself was already team friendly, because remember the tag amount would have been 25 million. So just even without going through a bunch of calculations, just keep in mind that OSA had the Cowboys by the balls. I want y'all to understand that he had the Cowboys he had all the leverage. Like if he would have just let them go into free agency, if they wanted to keep him, they would have had to tag him for 25 million, and they would have to pay him all of that at once. So he had the leverage. So I see the first thing I want people to understand is that first he hooked the Cowboys up. I want everybody to understand that, because it's a lot of sticker shock that's going on, because when we see 20 million we get stuck. We say, oh, OSA's not worth that. It's like you got to be able to calculate worth. So when you calculating worth and you look at his counterparts, right, now we can calculate the worth. So if we look at for instance Derrick Brown, when Derrick Brown signed his contract, he did it April 5th of 2024 for $24 million. See, the key part that people got to understand is that the salary cap greatly rose as well. So when you look at the salary cap in 2024, you see it for 255 million. I got my mouse circling it in case 2024 the cap is 255 million. So when Derrick Brown, who has similar production to OSA, signed, he did it for 9.4% of that year's cap. So now you can compare OSA and say, okay, how did OSA compare to Derrick Brown, right, in terms of his career production? So then what really gave OSA leverage was the fact that Aleem McNeil signed October 15, 2024 for 24.2 million, or 3 if you round it up. And he was 9.5% of the cap. So we did this exercise yesterday in the show where we said, okay, if we looking at his counterparts, people around the league that got what we call, well, the term is enumerated, meaning paid. When they got their bag and they got enumerated, they got their bag, then you have to ask the question, how does OSA compare to them? Right? And so if they was only receiving 9.4 and 9.5% of the cap, what would have been a fair amount for OSA in the new increased cap? That's the question. So if we do the math together, I did this yesterday, I'm gonna do it again today. So the new cap, let me just show you, is 279 million. All right. So if we do 279 million and you say, let's get him what Brown got. So 0.0094 is 9.4%. You multiply that, that tells you that OSA, at least if he was fighting for money like his counterparts, he should have been around 26 million. That's why I was saying anything under 26 or 25 yesterday is a deal. And we got to be able to understand what that means. So what did OSA actually do so that we can really fully understand what he did for the team? So his counterparts, again, Derrick Brown signed for 9.4% of the cap. Then you had a lean sign for 9.5% of the cap, in a bigger cap with more money available for the NFL. OSA said, give me 20. So when he got 20, I'm sorry, that number wrong. It's not 21, it's 20. Let me correct that. Boom. 20. That is literally 7.5% of the new cap. 7.5, that is way under his counterparts. And you can say that he had better production, especially in what a lot of people count with sacks. That's what most people focus on, especially if you're looking at a 3-tech. You go look at those sacks and you go look at those pressures because of the position he plays. So I want everybody to understand that OSA's deal is not just friendly, it's extremely team friendly. So I don't want people to get caught up in the sticker shock, because I explained this yesterday, because the same explosion in the cap that's happening right now also happened in basketball. I explained this. Y'all need to go back and watch that show if you want the facts. But I explained this, that the same thing happened in basketball, to where there was a $24 million jump in basketball cap because of the new television contracts. The exact same thing that's going on in football right now. So this article was explaining that you can't look at these players according to old worth amounts. So I had one of my solid day one say, I could go get a DT for 10 million. You can, but it won't be like OSA. 1, 2, they won't have the production that OSA put up. 3, it's gonna be higher than what you think because the cap has risen. Just like I was explaining in this article with basketball, they was explaining that you can't look at it from a solid number. That's why people looking at 20 million and then they're scoffing at it. They saying OSA not worth that. But this gave you the warning. He said with the cap rising dramatically, it's more accurate to view contracts as a percentage of the total cap. So a role player like Marco Bellinelli usually makes around 8%, while a superstar like Kyrie Irving is capped at slightly below 25%. So if you look at what was happening to Kyrie Irving's salary, because the cap kept rising, his 25% kept giving him pay raises. That's what's going on with OSA, and that's why I want the fans to understand this, to be honest, so we don't tear him apart. Because we love the Cowboys so much that sometimes we'll say OSA didn't need all of that. He didn't need all of that. And then we'll start taking shots at people that actually hooked us up. So I want everybody to know that, first of all, extreme team friendliness with OSA. Extreme. It's a couple of things that I said I was going to save towards the end that's super important. First of all, I said I was going to acknowledge in yesterday's show, if they got this deal done early, I said I was going to give them credit, because this actually shows a shift. There's a shift in front office methods, because they usually prolong these contract negotiations. This is showing you that your anger, Dallas Cowboy fans, your frustration, and you being specific on what you want to see. So we've been having a campaign going on for at least a month now on 877 Pay Micah Now. Right? And we've been specific on, listen, get these contracts out the way so y'all can have the money for free agency. That's a different shift that we seeing even in front office, and it's coming from them seeing your anger. So we need to continue to stay organized, be specific on the things we want to see, and you might just see it. That's why I've been saying lately, people that have been on these campaigns have been winning. So continue to let your voices be loud. So we need to stay on that 877 Pay Micah Now. We need to be loud about that. Then it also says this, that there's potential Micah influence. What do you mean by that? So the fact that Micah been coming out and he been saying, because see, we spent a lot of time talking about his podcast and talking, but see, we got to be able to stop and then smell the roses and say, the fact that he been coming out saying that he willing to be team friendly, you got to ask the question, did that influence OSA? You have to ask that question, because OSA had all the leverage. He paused it, and it was obviously him that unpaused it, because I guarantee his agent did not want no deal for no $20 million. Not when your market value 25 to 26 million. You don't want to be the representatives that got your guy $4 million on average per year less than what he was due. That's $16 million in the total contract taken out of OSA pocket. You want to be the agent that represent that? No, the agent did not want that. That's telling you that OSA was the one who led this. Because if you look at the history of Derek Brown and you look at the history of Aleem, notice that Aleem, even though he didn't have better production, he got slightly over Derek Brown because the agent demanded it. He like, listen, man, I'm trying to recruit new talent. I need to give you the best deal possible. So this is showing a lot that's going on. It's a lot to be interpreted from this. But I want to make sure I gave y'all the Measure Kool-Aid in a quick version. I would recommend that y'all go back and watch that show, because I went into a lot more detail. I did the show yesterday. It's a longer show, but it's very accurate. But I want y'all to also be very understanding and not be the type of fans that get sticker shocked at 20 million, because we don't understand that the cap has been rising greatly. It's your boy Boss Cowboy Sports, man, bringing you another Measured Kool-Aid report, where we take pride in trying to be very accurate and factual about what's really going on with your Dallas Cowboys. I'm out.